Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about life cycle. So to understand about life cycle, you should aware that in Veeva world we have two different options. That is, one is documents, the other one is objects. So the life cycle will be common across documents and objects. But we should understand about what is life cycle first. So life cycle is nothing but how the document has to be moved from one state to another. The state-wise changes. So the documents will be created by the content creator. Once they are creating the content in a draft state, they will be moving the document from draft to an approval state and then move to approved state. Finally, if it needs not to be seen by anyone, they will be moving it to an obsolete state or a cancelled state. So like that, the state-wise changes and how to move the document from one state to another with the different options, everything will be configured in the lifecycle only. Even initiating a workflow and approvers are reviewing the content and they are approving, this workflow also has to be configured in the lifecycle only. So the document lifecycle as well as the object lifecycle serves the same, but the configuration wise there will be a slight changes will be there. The first step we need to understand about the document lifecycle or object lifecycle is the creation of the states. So for example, in a particular application like ProMats or a quality management system or a clinical vault, so they will be creating multiple life cycles. So standard life cycles will be provided by the Veeva itself. Like in ProMats, we can say MLR life cycle, approved email life cycle, and CLM life cycle. These are all the standard life cycles. And newly customized life cycle, whatever the business requirement is, they will be creating the new life cycle with the help of admin team. So once the life cycle is created, under that what are the states will be applicable, that states will be initially created. Like 5 to 10 states they want to create, they will be creating it initially with the state names. Once the states are created, for each and every state they can able to restrict the roles. So the role level access like viewer role, approver role, reviewer role, those role level accesses will be granted in each and every state. So for example, the viewer role will be provided the basic access like viewing the document and they can able to view the renditions. But they cannot able to edit the document or edit the content like checkout and check-in they cannot able to do. The editor role can able to do. Like that the permission will be provided under the lifecycle states under a security settings. So once the accesses are granted for the role level in the lifecycle state, then we will move on to the two important points, that is user action and entry action. So user action is nothing but initiating some action from the particular state. Like in a draft state, if you want to initiate a workflow, you have to configure that under an user action. Or in case of initiating some web actions, or so what are the actions can be performed in the particular state manually, that will be falls under the user action configuration. And the other one is entry action. So entry action is nothing but before reaching the particular state, some action has to be automatically performed, so that has to be configured under the entry action. So entry action mostly will be configured in the steady states and in the cancel state. In the end of some states, people will be configuring. In the initial state like draft, you cannot able to configure an entry action. If you are configuring also, it will not work. So for achieving that, while creating the document itself, some action has to be performed automatically. So they have introduced a concept called event action. So in the event action, if you are configuring something, when document created at the very beginning, some actions like metadata update, that will be automatically happening. So totally 3 actions are there. One is user action, which has to be manually initiating by the end user. And the event entry action is about while reaching the state, some actions will be automatically performed. And the event action is like while creating the document, the action has to be performed automatically. And another one important is entry criteria. Entry criteria is kind of a validation. It is also like before entering the particular state, if you are configuring it under the approved state of entry criteria, then this validation will be happening. Like it will verify whether this field is empty or not, whether this field value is there or not. Like that, it will be verifying the same. Once the verification is there, it will allow you to move it into that particular state. That is called an entry criteria. And another important point in the lifecycle configuration is that atomic security. So atomic security is kind of a requirement comes to the business, like I want to restrict some of the roles. This role has to only initiate this user action, and this role should not see this user action option itself. Like that, the restriction has to come up as per the roles. Then using the atomic security, you can able to achieve that option. Like using the role override, you can able to hide some of the user action for the particular roles, or you can make it as a required optional field as well. And this will be applicable only in the document lifecycle. If you move on to the object lifecycle, they have given the same option, like user action and entry action combination can be restricted, but additionally the field level restriction also been available in the object lifecycle. In document lifecycle, the field level restriction will be done under the document field configuration itself. So like that, few changes will be there with the document lifecycle and object lifecycle. And finally, the workflow configuration. The workflow configurations were configured earlier in the document lifecycle itself under the legacy workflow. So the workflows will be created under each and every lifecycle. Now they have migrated completely into the one workflow. They will call it as multi-document workflow. That will be available under the admin configuration workflows. So people are started creating the workflows in the one workflows now. So legacy workflow, they are removing completely for the newly created applications. So workflow can be configured separately, and we can utilize it in the user action of each and every lifecycle. But while creating the workflow itself, they will be mentioning properly which lifecycle that is mapped to it. So document lifecycle is kind of a heart of each and every document configuration. So learn good with the document lifecycle in veevaworld.help page, or with like this kind of videos, you can able to understand and start working on the configurations of lifecycle. Thank you. We will see it in our next session.